Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome into the Real Monica Adams show. I hope you are having a great start to your Friday. Now, some of your kids might be home, some of them might be on a late start, because yes, that snow that our aspiring meteorologist Beckett Moore talked about yesterday did in fact come in. When I woke up this morning at about 4:45, opened the door to let the dogs out, and the dogs looked at me like, "You go outside and go to the bathroom in the snow, Mom. Why does this keep showing up? This white stuff we don't like." They put their paws down and they're like, "We're going to turn around and get out of here." So you might have a little dusting, you might have a trace, as Beckett had talked about, or depending on which side of the river you are on, you might have a little bit more. In fact, as you're tuning in, I'd love to know, how much do you have? Do your kids have school? Do they have a late start? I understand that some of you that have been out already that wrote me this morning said the roads are a little dicey. Of course, you know, our driveway, we would have to, hopefully it's that blowing snow that we can just take the leaf blower. Jim's been doing that. So that's the one thing I think he's been happy about so far this winter, is that it hasn't been shovelable snow. It's just been the leaf blower snow. So all of you be careful. Good morning, Marilyn. All of you be careful. If you are getting ready to head out, know that the roads could be a little dicey. Those exit ramps, the entrance ramps, you know the deal, the overpasses. Be a little careful out there heading into the weekend, and cold temperatures again. Now, remember, Beckett said that on Monday night into Tuesday, there could be maybe a rain ice mix. I'm a little worried about that one. Snow, I can deal with. Ice, not so much. Nobody knows how to drive on the ice, slipping and sliding all over the place. So keep an eye on those plans, whatever you have to do. Michelle, always the traffic diva, right? Linda, good morning. Welcome back, by the way. I know you were away. Good morning to Kathy. Good morning to Julie. The community is coming on board. If you're brand new, let me know where you're watching from. I've got a couple ladies on this morning, one from Wentzville, Missouri, and one from Arizona. So hopefully we'll have some people from Arizona tuning in. And it's not just today that they tune in. They realize that this is the way you start a day. This is how you wake up, and this is how your spirit is in a better mood, and how whatever you do for yourself then is spread throughout each person that you meet throughout your day, right? Positivity, positivity, positivity. Powdery snow, Leona says. I just swept the walk. Yeah, that's a good thing. So not heavy bands of snow moving in. Beckett, we gave him the night off and the day off so we can rest a little bit, and we will check in with Beckett Moore again coming up on Monday. Just want to do a little order of business before we get into our talks today. The 37th annual Working Women's Survival Show is coming up in February. I want to know how many of you, men and women both, have been to this, because guys actually enjoy it. In fact, I've known guys in the past that go to pick up women there. A lot of single ladies, all the single ladies. It is February 16th through the 18th. I used to go to this religiously every year when it was at the Dome. Well, now it's at the St. Charles Convention Center, and I'm talking about fashion, I'm talking about food, I'm talking about fitness, a lot of fun. And who is the 2024 featured celebrity? Well, none other than mean Nellie Olson from Little House on the Prairie, Allison Arngrim, and she will be my guest on this show coming up on February 2nd. If you want to interact with her, we will do that show live. I'm looking forward to that. You have been there, Kathy. How many of you are going this year, though? It's so much fun because there's so many samples. And honestly, there's a lot of women that treat it like happy hour. They grab all these samples of food. They've got drinks there. They hear some really inspirational speakers, and then they look at the different celebrities, listen to their talks. So Allison's bringing her what she calls Confessions of a, excuse my language, but this is the name of the book, Confessions of a Prairie Bitch. That's coming to the Working Women Survival Show. It should be a lot of fun. I can't wait to talk with her. And so from now until we do, if you have any questions or comments or anything from watching that show, be sure to pass that along to us. Also, I'm excited to talk about this. Ruby Lee, we mentioned it yesterday, live in concert. Of course, you know Ruby, I hope. She was the runner-up on this past season of The Voice, and she is coming to Defiance Ridge. That's right. He is taking the stage on the 4th of July. So here's the deal. This is what you need to know. Tickets are on sale. The doors were open at 4:00. They are going to have an opening band that has not been announced yet, 5:30 to 7. And then Ruby Lee, her show time is 7:30 to 9. And then, of course, it is, in fact, the holiday, 4th of July. So you got to stick around. little firework action right after Ruby Lee takes the stage. And I am super excited because we confirmed yesterday that I will be the MC bringing her on stage on the 4th of July. So let's all make plans to get our tickets, get out there, enjoy a beautiful day in Augusta, Missouri at Defiance Ridge Vineyards. If you've never been, truly, I consider it to be one of the, if not the best winery that we have out west. And Chuck Gillantine is just a dear, dear friend. I'm super excited for that day. Why don't we spend the holiday together? So start planning it now. You've got a lot of time, but tickets are going to go up. $40 until they sell out. If for some reason they don't, but they're expecting them to, on the day of 4th of July, they will go up to $50. So just understand that. Start making plans now and say, hey, I want to go out there. I want to see Ruby Lee. It's going to be a heck of a concert for sure. And then for next Wednesday, I would like to see you at this, Cultivating a Vision for 2024 Part 2. I saw a lot of you purchasing tickets yesterday. If you did not go to the first one that we had last month, you can still purchase tickets for that. You can buy that recording, I should say. It's $10 for the first recording. It's an hour and a half, and then we're going to spend an hour and a half together on Wednesday, next Wednesday. But tickets will go up after today, so get on it right now, $35. However, if you have kids that are 18 and under, I want to welcome them for free. Why? Because I wish that more people would get to our youth early to talk about the bullying, to talk about the abuse that they've gone through, to really shift the patterns in their life at an earlier stage so that we can keep the 10, 20, 30, 40 years later from happening, right? To keep the depression that mounts up from getting to the escalation point that it does. So if we can get them earlier, so 18 and under, please bring them for free. I'd love to see you. So many people have signed up for that already. And lastly, this is what we're going to talk about today. We're all stronger together, aren't we? The name of the book is actually Stronger Together. And there are two ladies that I'm going to bring on. They actually met in their studies, but what happened before they ever got to the studies? These two beautiful ladies, these two beautiful souls, my guest today. We're going to talk about a lot of things that has to do with overcoming trauma, overcoming depression, overcoming mental health, PTSD, abuse, not just to themselves, but when that abuse gets transferred to your children. And I know you would do anything for your kids. It just breaks your heart when you have this awareness of what has happened to them. So again, it's called Stronger Together. It's how two moms walk through trauma, PTSD, and abuse. And they're going to join me when we return. Envita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Envita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Envita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Envita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online envitahealthandwellness.com. Hi, it's Monica Adams. Thank you so much for following along with The Real Monica Adams Show since we launched back in March. But I wanted to let you know there's so much more that I could do with you, your business, your corporation. Did you know that I'm a motivational speaker all around the world, as well as an MC and an auctioneer? So if you have an event, maybe a nonprofit organization, and you want to book me, just shoot me an email, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Personal training, life coaching, and styling as well. Info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. All right, welcome back, everybody. Again, if you're a brand new viewer, listener of the show, let me know where you're watching from and thank that person that introduced you to a new level of positivity. If you just happened upon us, that's great to know as well. I just mentioned that we have two moms, two beautiful souls on this morning. Let me give you a little background, first of all. Sherry Jost, vocational job coach, studying to receive a doctorate in health administration. In fact, her dissertations are on mental health. She's a mom of two daughters, aged 17 and 20, a master's degree in psychology, a family caregiver, and a workout enthusiast. I love that. What fitness can do to our souls. Tina Claren, owner and director of Best Friends Preschool, adjunct faculty, early childhood education classes. She's a mom of kids 4 of them, aged 17 to 33, a grandmother of 2, aged 9 and 7. She's got a Master's of Science in Psychology, a Master's of Arts in Education, a Master's of Arts in Innovative Leadership, and next step, PhD in Cognitive Psychology and Learning. These ladies are not only absolutely beautiful souls, but they are also unbelievably intelligent. Let me welcome them on. Sherry and Tina, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Good morning.
Thank you so much, Monica.
So Tina and Sherry, I was fortunately able to be introduced to you from my beautiful sister-in-law, Tina, who I think, yes, she is on. Tina said, good morning, you should be a speaker for the Working Women Survival Show. I know, that's what we're working on, Tina. Thank you for that. So Julie says, I love the title. Ladies, this is the thing. We are all stronger together, are we not? I want to start with, first of all, how the two of you met, when you made the decision to write this book, and the book will let you know how you can get it, when it's going to come out, etc. Let's start with Sherry, because Sherry's the one that I was first introduced to. So you two met how long ago?
We met about 2.5 years ago at the university when we were in online classes.
Doing online classes. So what was the conversation that really sparked for you to have this connection?
Well, in the beginning, we were just on teams together doing assignments, and we ended up getting each other's phone numbers and chatting about the different assignments so that we could be getting the team together to do the final paper.
And Tina, what was it that stood out in Sherry that made you say, wow, I have this connection to this woman?
I think the fact that some of our stories were similar because we were in a psychology program. A lot of the topics were things that kind of hit home for both of us. And so some of our conversations weren't just about the assignment. It was like, oh, this in my life relates to this assignment. And as we started talking, it just kind of helped the friendship build and build. And we've been we actually started our program back in 2020. So yeah, it's been a while. Because we graduated in 2022, 2020. I don't even remember now.
because
Right.
you made progress. Like you're
Right.
getting ready to get into this life.
So and then once we were done with the program, we still continued to talk. We still just checked in with each other. How are you doing? What's the next step? What are you working on? How are the kids? What's going on? My children are I have 3 boys and a girl, and my daughter had some of the similar issues that both of Sherry's daughters have had. She's a little older than her daughters, but part of the I think draw for us too was that her kids are still coming into themselves and becoming and working on that success where I've got the real life example that it can happen no matter what kind of trauma we've been through or those types of things too, not just with ourselves but with our children, because my daughter struggled in school. She had some different things going on, and she's an RN and a mom. So
Absolutely. If you're just tuning in, let me reintroduce my guest. We are talking with Sherry Jost and Tina Claren. Again, the name of the book, Stronger Together, How Two Moms Walk Through Trauma, PTSD, and Abuse. Sherry said that the books it's a series actually, that they are getting ready to launch. And the first one coming out here in a few months. We'll talk about that. The book's based on life stories, as Tina's saying, testimonies of herself and Tina, and they met again in that master's degree. So the book's based on mental health. Each book has their personal life experiences, the illustrations, the combinations of trauma, PTSD, and abuse, but it's also the walk of what the children endured. And hers is actually from the single parent perspective, and then Tina's from the life of a married mother. So let's go ahead and go there. Sherry, first, you gave me your background and said, look, I grew up in a normal family. I had loving parents. And then you lost your father, like I lost my father, which is devastating. You were daddy's little girl, but you didn't have what you then experienced in your own life growing up, which is the first blessing, right?
Correct. Absolutely. I had a wonderful childhood. My dad, back then, my dad worked. My mom stayed home with us. I did everything with my dad. We even went out and cut bushes together. We did the grass together. We took walks. We went out, for dinners and stuff. So I absolutely had the best dad ever.
Okay, so again, a great connection that she has to her parents, but you're very young when you meet your first ex-husband.
Correct.
And what was it about him that drew you in?
So I was a little bit different than I am now. I was very much a recluse in my younger childhood. I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't go out and do a lot of things, and I guess a lot of it was that when I met him, he was outgoing. He was kind. He wanted to take me out and do things with me, spend time with me. And I think that really drew me in because, like I said, I didn't go out a lot. I didn't have a lot of friends. And it was just a lot because I was shy. I almost was a little bit too sheltered with my childhood. And I guess I just didn't know how to be an extrovert at the time.
Which again, nobody should force anybody to be something that they're not. You are who you are. But one of the things, the one word that stands out to me is what you described him as, which so many people that have watched this show from the very beginning. In fact, Sherry, I remember back in the spring of last year when we were just doing a show with myself and the viewers, they had all these topics that they wanted me to cover. And one of them was how to spot a narcissist. And so when did you realize that that is who, in fact, you were married to?
Unfortunately, our true colors didn't actually come out until right around the time I found out I was pregnant with my first child. So we played the game pretty well for a long time. More narcissists are different. I mean, some have more experience than others have. You don't know. And like I said, I was very sheltered. So because I had such a wonderful role model with my father, I guess I just, looked past things and didn't even realize what was going on.
What would you describe a narcissist as?
In the beginning, kind, nice, wanting to know you, motivated towards you, would do anything to help you out, loving, caring, to the point where, you know what, I want to spend a lot of time with this person. I'm going to marry this person. This person's going to be, a wonderful father or a wonderful husband. We're going to have a great life together. The white picket fence story, like Little House on the Prairie, almost.
Yeah.
And so you get wrapped up in that and you feel like, oh my goodness, this person's going to love me better than anybody else. It's going to be like my parents. He's going to work. He's going to take care of me. We're going to have kids. We're going to have a great life. And then one day you wake up and you're like, that's not it at all.
And a lot of people around you probably saw this picture perfect. It's always never judging. We talk about it, never judging the book by the cover, because you don't know what happens behind closed doors until someone feels that they can trust someone and they start to tell. Let's give Tina's story here before we come back to Sherry. What was the beginning of the issues with you and your family?
We're going to go back to my senior year, junior year in high school. And date rape situation. And so before that, great family. Both my parents are still here. They're actually great grandparents, and they're very much involved. And so we still have that relationship. But that senior year in high school with that situation, it took me a while to kind of move beyond that. I had insomnia in college because I would have nightmares, but made it through college and putting myself, doing the work to get myself healthy enough to be strong enough to go out on a date again and to try to experience that life. I mean, I've always wanted lots of children. I've always wanted to be a mom. I remember telling my mom I wanted 12 kids.
Oh my goodness.
Not realistic. And it's funny because my 20-year-old, he's like, I want a lot of kids. And I'm like, she's never gonna, his girlfriend, I'm like, she's never gonna go for it. You might get a few, but not like two. So I think becoming, and I've always been into early childhood has always been my passion, and where my heart is, even though I have taught at lots of different levels. Uh, but that's part of it too. That was part of my healing process, is working with children, because they just want to love you, and you walk in the door and there they are with a hug and a smile, and they don't even know that they're being empathetic, and yet they're being empathetic. And so working with that age group was part of my healing process as well. And then I married somebody with two children, so my oldest two we're a blended family, and then our younger two we have together. And each, we also deal with ADD and ADHD in our family, which usually comes with some other type of mental health concern, borderline personality disorder or bipolar, learning disabilities, those types of things. And so those are some of the things I've worked through with different children, depending on which one I'm talking about.
Sure.
And my daughter, unfortunately, has had some of the same experiences I had while she was growing up, and she didn't talk about them. She didn't tell us that things were going on until it was almost too late.
She had the same type of experiences in what realm?
Date rape.
She was. Wow.
Yeah, and I had told her the experience long before. When she was old enough to understand, and she wanted to start dating and those types of things, so that she could see the signs and those kinds of things. But a lot of times too, what happens with children with ADD or other mental health is self-medication, where if at 18, when they choose not to take the medication they're being prescribed, they want to do something else, and alcohol or whatever. So then that dulls their perception of what the situation is, and it can happen. So, and she didn't, like I said, she didn't tell us for a while, but we've gone through with her, it was a lot of doctor visits and psychologists, and going through the therapy, the counseling. Because while in high school, she also had the Mean Girls. So she was at the brunt end of the Mean Girls.
The bullying aspect, which I brought that picture up because I knew we would discuss it, because typically when I see mental health issues, depression issues, trauma issues in children, a lot of it stems from bullying at a very young age, and you try to find trust. You can see in that top right picture, they're all laughing, and that child is, curled over, crying, most likely, just in pain inside, and you wonder, do they ever go home and tell their parents that? A lot of times they suffer in silence, and they are trying to trust, but then they wonder, did I do something wrong? Did I bring it on? I want to reintroduce my guest, because I know a lot of you, sign on second by second. So we are talking once again with Sherry Jost, Tina Claren. The two of them met in their online studies in their master's degree, and both of them have devoted their lives to the mental health side, the helping children, obviously knowing what they've gone through personally, what their children have gone through. The name of the book that's coming out, Stronger Together: How Two Moms Walk Through Trauma, PTSD, and Abuse. By the way, Sherry, when is the book due?
The book is due to come out late spring, early summer.
Okay, perfect. And when it comes out, where will it be available for us?
We're available online. We're available at Barnes and Nobles, Walmart, your Kindles, your iPads. We can get it anywhere.
Is there a website in the making, or a website right now that we can direct people to?
There is a website in the making right now, yes.
Okay. What will it be?
It is through Lucid Publishing Company.
Okay.
Well, I can definitely get that for you and send it right over to you.
Yeah, please do. I just want to make sure that people can look into this and how it can help them when it does, in fact, come out. I'm going to take a quick break. Again, we're going to continue to give the digging deeper into this. What happened with Sherry's marriage, the divorce, trusting someone again, finding out something about a daughter when she was 17 years old that then was past the statute of limitations, all these things, the way life twists and turns. And I know a lot of you, if you're willing, have told us in the past. Write it in comments. When you write it in the comments, others say, wow, you're opening up, and it's a community that's formed to say, I've been there and you're helping me, right? It's knowing that you're not alone. So we'll have more with Sherry and Tina when we return. Think about this. When's the last time you called your doctor at 2 o'clock in the morning and he actually answered? Well, at Innovair Health Advocates, their patients are special. Their doctors, nurse practitioners, their care team care deeply about your health, your family, your work, and even your pet. Their clinicians are accessible and they lead your care in and out of the hospital. In fact, Dr. Charles Willie offers his cell phone number to his patients to ensure they can intervene early in your illness. They can provide care above and beyond, offering lab, x-ray, echocardiogram, and other treatments in their office. Innovair Health Advocates with 5 locations on both sides of the river. Check them out, innovairhealth.com. And that Ask the Doctor segment, by the way, that you saw is on Mondays. It's Medical Mondays, and we have Dr. Charles Willie. We have Dr. Sarah from Invita Health and Wellness, Dr. Sarah Franco. This Monday, Dr. Willie will have his partner, one of his partners in his practice will be coming on. We'll continue to talk about the 13 virtues from Benjamin Franklin, and we're going to talk about sincerity. By the way, what does that mean to you? Think about that. We wish that more and more people were sincere in their patterns of life. Good morning to all of you that are saying hi, and to the ones that are just watching. Abby's on. Good morning, Gina, Terry Knutson, Michael Rabbit, some new names, Kathleen Morris. Good morning and happy Friday. Kim, is it Glow Gaza? There's some hard names here. Rose and Cedric Parker and Kim, Sean Godlewski, Kristen, Leona, Cheryl. Good morning, Diane. We love you. So many of you. If you are just new to the show, tell me how you found it. Tina's so very true. Tina Adams, my beautiful sister-in-law that introduced me to these wonderful women. Shara Jost again, Tina Claren. Tina says, we as mothers will do anything to help and protect our children. Sherry, send the link while you are on live, if at all possible. Yeah, I don't want people to not be able to follow this journey, because if the book's not coming out, I think you said till what, April or May? I don't want them to forget. Of course, you can pass it along to me, and I'll be sure to pass it along on future shows. But for everybody else, if there's a way that you can send it along, actually, if you want to even shoot an email when we go to a commercial break, I'd love to have that so that my moderators, my team can put it out there. Good morning, Lisa and Pamela and Terry. Good morning to all of you. So Sherry, I wanted to go back into this. You had this beautiful, wonderful, loving upbringing. You meet a man you're thinking is going to be similar to the wonderful father that you had, daddy's little girl. So you meet this guy, you end up finding out he's very narcissistic. Throughout that marriage, when do you realize, or when do you accept in your mind that this is not what you thought it was going to be and that you shouldn't stay in this marriage?
So I think I accepted it very early on, for sure. The problem was, and many people already know, when you're in that deep,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have this child that you have to protect, in a way, there's really no way out. Even when you don't have children, sometimes there's no way out. But to protect your child, you'll do anything you can. And it was really, really hard for me to think of the fact that I could divorce him and somehow find some peace, but I would have to leave my child with him. So I got out for a little bit, and then I realized that the power trip took over with him once more, and that he was going to try to take her from me. And I think in my mind, I still had that faith, and I still had that hope that in my mind, I'm like, he's not going to get her, because he never even spends time with her as it is. I mean,
well, you actually wrote to me and said he didn't even really want them, did he? Yeah.
No, he wasn't exactly thrilled when I was pregnant.
So did the girls know that? Did he always treat them that way?
I mean, pretty much, yes. So from early on, he worked all the time. And he even took out a second job. I would offer at some points to be like, hey, after you come home, if you want to watch her, I'll go get a job at night so you can rest. And that was not what he wanted. I never forced anything. If he said he did not want it, okay, that's fine. Because really, I just wanted to stay home with her anyway. I wasn't comfortable with leaving her with him.
Sure.
But when you're kind of in that situation and you still feel a little bit threatened and you feel scared, you're going to try to play nicey nice. It's just how it is.
From a protection standpoint, because you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, literally,
Yes.
did you everywhere you go, kind of like looking over your shoulder, wondering when I'm coming back in, when am I coming home to?
I was very paranoid. I lost all my friends. I pretty much lost my family, and not in the fact that my family didn't talk to me. It was just more or less that he had me in a place that I didn't have a vehicle. I couldn't get out unless I just took a walk. So a lot of times we would just take my dog and we would take a walk, or we would walk up to the grocery store because I lived close enough. That was pretty much my outing. So we did a lot of walking.
And I want to say this is straight from comments from Sherry and I while we were emailing over the last several weeks, that they had a dog that was truly her best friend, her baby, her everything. She said, I would protect her at all costs. And she lived this way for 7 years, prayed for her family, for her girls, for her dog every single day. And it's a true testament, she said, to what a person can endure and still walk this earth with sanity. She was verbally, mentally, physically, and emotionally abused daily. In the abuse, especially from the physical signs of it, was it like these pictures that we're talking about, Sherry?
So I mean, there's different types. Like I said, there's different types of narcissists, and they know how to do things. So a lot of my scars slash marks were not um, necessarily able to be seen. I mean, towards the end, there were some more that were able to be seen,
Okay.
but in the beginning, I mean, we knew how to cover things up pretty well.
That's what I was going to ask, because if people see that, and I understand that women and all of you, please pass this along to anyone that has gone through this type of abuse, because if they couldn't be on live, this is the kind of show you've got to share. And it just needs to spread and spread and spread, the branches of the tree continuing to go, because in my 30 years of broadcasting, I've talked to so many women, whether I've trained them, whether I've interviewed them in the past, they've gone through this and they've made excuses. When someone has seen a bruise, they say, oh yeah, I fell. It's all those things. We see it in movies, but this is real life that has happened. And then, yes, then they get to the point where the abuse happens, but as Sherry's saying, it happens where others can't see it. And then you're making excuses. You stop showing up. You were saying you were a recluse already, but you probably stop showing up to things because you don't want people to possibly see the hurt that's going on. Is that right?
Correct. Absolutely correct. There were sometimes even with family events, I necessarily didn't go. I did keep, my daughter with me, but he was always working anyway, so he didn't ever care if he went to family events. So it just kind of depended on the situation at the time. But if I could get the car, I was definitely there, whether he was or not.
I'm going to come back to Sherry in a second, because I want you all to hear what I personally feel as the person interviewing that was very powerful, was her saying that she did get out. She got out, but she returned. So it's that back and forth that I see with a lot of people, right? The narcissist will pull you back in because they're so unbelievably controlling. They've got to try to control you until you don't give them power anymore. And at one point, finally, Sherry does break away from that. But we'll talk about back and forth. Tina, what about for you? Did you go through any kind of abuse like this yourself, or was it all into the kids?
The the date rape situation, that was actually a 13-month relationship, and it was more of it turned into mental and emotional abuse, all verbal abuse. There was no physical abuse. And years later, I was going through my childhood diary, and a month or two into the relationship, I had written, I need to get out. I need to leave. I need to, break up. And I was 18, a senior in high school. And that didn't happen for 13 more, for another year. And the night that it happened, it's kind of ironic. We were at a movie called No Way Out. It's the Kevin Costner movie, No Way Out. It's like burned into my brain. And he was saying something that I told him if he did it again, I was going to walk out, because I was at that point. I was tired of being beaten up and feeling like crap about myself. And so I walked out of the movie theater, and we argued for 2 hours in the parking lot, back and forth. And this was the one and only time where he like grabbed me from behind and was like holding on really tight. And um, I couldn't breathe, and I was like, "You're suffocating me." And that's when it hit, that the physical suffocation that I was experiencing at that moment was actually the mental and verbal, emotional suffocation I had been feeling for months. And I hadn't put two and two together. I mean, at 18, your brain isn't even fully developed yet. You don't even know these things. And who's talking to you about them? I mean, the women, generationally, women don't talk about these things until this generation, so it's not like my mom was talking about what she experienced when she dated, or my grandma, or anything like that. um, but that night when I said that, then, and he let go of me right away. um, but that's where I had the strength that night to just say, we're done, and um, walked away. But it took me years. I didn't date in college. I just,
Well, of course not. You don't trust anyone.
right. I focused
How
on my
could you?
studies, and I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying, everybody, I hope you hear that. How could you? I mean, you've gone through something like that. It's traumatic. It's a young age, and you try to figure out, when can I ever trust again? I don't care what level of abuse a person has gone through. When you have the realization that I shouldn't be treated this way, you start to think, well, who can I trust? And if it happens again, and a lot of times, I have a woman that I'm counseling right now, and she said, "Why do I keep picking the same type of men? Why do I get back into it?" Look at Sherry. I want you to look at Sherry's reaction to this, right? Sherry, there. She's shaking her head. She's got the smile on her face, not a real smile. It's really like, yeah, this is true. Answer that, because the woman, I hope she sees this, the woman that I'm counseling right now, I hope she sees this, because she cries every time we go through our sessions on Monday. And she's like, "Monica, I just don't feel like I'm ever going to be loved the way I swear I deserve to be loved." Is that how you felt, Sherry?
Absolutely. But like I said, there's very different, or there's different frameworks of what a narcissist looks like to everybody. Everybody's is different. So if you've never experienced it, you then married one and had one for 9 years, you're like, this is the worst ever. Like, there's nobody else out there. It's like, this is how it is. And then all of a sudden, one day, many, many years later, you find somebody and you're like, wow, it does exist. This is so cool. This is like the best ever. And then you start really getting into it, and it's still running smooth. Hey, I have a car. I get to go to the grocery store now. I can take my kids out. I don't have to ask permission to do this. But because it's engraved in you that you had asked permission for so long, you switch it around just to make yourself feel better. And you're like, hey, FYI, by the way, I'm going to go out with some friends tonight. Oh, okay, that's cool. That's fine. So then you're like, okay, well, this guy's going to let me, do stuff. And then we have a bank account together, and he lets me use his money. And it's just like a whole other world. Like he
You
takes
are
me out to
literally,
dinner.
you're just, Sherry, you're describing things, and you see me shaking my head because you're saying the words, "let me." I mean, I don't know. There's so many things that, but unless you're in it, we all can hear this and go, "What do you mean, let me?" Like, you're supposed to be in a loving relationship where you're partners. And of course there's trust, and hey, go out with the girlfriends, and you come back and you're not worried that you're going to have retaliation from it. All those words are key words. I hope you're all hearing of "let me." You're not supposed to be controlled. You're supposed to be loved, but you don't know any different, Sherry,
That's right.
Tina.
That's right.
Right? So I
Yes.
said, when I came back to Sherry, I wanted to mention this. You mentioned that you got out. You were
Yes.
going to divorce.
Yes.
Why'd you go back?
Um, at this point in time, I was not pregnant with my second one yet. And so I went back in because when all was said and done, my ex-husband, after we split, only lived maybe 5 minutes from me. And he called me up after a month or so, and he wanted to get back together and stuff. And I was very adamant about, there's no way, this is not going to happen. Unfortunately, he still had somewhat of a little bit of control where, well, then I'm going to have to take her, and spend the weekend with her and stuff. So I kind of called his bluff a little bit to see what would happen, because we were never really engaged with the child. And that day came. It was the hardest day of my life. I had to watch her leave. And just screaming because she didn't know who he was. She had no idea. She's like, this stranger is taking me in this car. I don't get to see my mom. So I felt like the most horrible person in the world, of course, because this child, was a little bit older, maybe 1.5. So she understood that, I don't know what she understood. Maybe she understood mom was abandoning me. Maybe she understood this stranger's take. I don't know what she understood. So it was probably one of the most traumatic days of my life.
I'm so sorry, first of all.
Thank you. So after that, I called him pretty much right after he dropped her back off that weekend. And I was just like, okay, let's talk about getting back together. Now, at this point, he knew he had control. So he played the game. Well, I don't know if I want to get back together. I don't know. Maybe we should just stay where we are, because he had that control over me because of my child. So then I unfortunately, sadly enough, had to do a little bit of groveling and pleading to get back in his life.
Ugh.
I know it was not easy, but I left her with my mom, and I went back over and we had a long conversation. I knew exactly what I was getting back into. I knew it was all going to come back, but I had to protect her at all cost.
Well, of course you do. That was one of the things that stood out in our emails loud and clear is I will do anything. What parent wouldn't? I hope you all would. Otherwise, I don't know why you're a parent. If you're going to become a parent and you're going to take that on and you understand that those are blessings, because all of us who were not able to have children, we would take your place any day. Please do not take advantage of the fact that that is a blessing. Treat it that way. Tina and Sherry, again, we're talking about their life story, their book that's coming out in the April-May time period, Stronger Together. Again, how two moms walk through trauma, PTSD, and abuse on so many levels. All of the people around you that are affected by this, the mental health, the PTSD. One of the things, ladies, and I'm hoping you agree with this, that I will say that came out of the last 3 years, now going into the 4th year, ever since 2020, don't you both agree that more people are almost, it's like you feel like they're coming out of the woodworks. People are saying left and right, this is my story. I'm not okay. And then all of you are there to say, this is my story. It sounds similar. I'm not okay. And it's this community that was always there, but others didn't know it. And you needed it to be there for you years ago, but everybody was hiding, right? I said that everybody was suffering in silence. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Now everybody's talking about the fact I'm not okay either. Is that helpful for you, Tina?
I think it is, because mental health issues start early in life. Children experience trauma early on, and Sherry's children, unfortunately, are an example of children experiencing trauma, and that can turn into PTSD as they get older. And I think what happened since 2020 is mental health has become part of the forefront for the nation, for the world, that we do need to start taking care of this, because the isolation that we experienced 2020 through 2022, in various degrees and various situations, proved that we are social creatures and we need each other to be successful and survive in a healthy, positive way. And so now, instead of everybody thinking that, it's like the scarlet letter. Mental health is, it's not something you talk about. It's not something that you know, want in the forefront. Now it is, because of that. And it's made it easier for, I think that's where the book started too, is we were just talking about it with each other. And hey, I think it was even a flippant comment in one of our conversations where it was just like, yeah, we should write a book. And all of a sudden it was like, are we writing this book?
Yeah, we're really doing this.
What,
Yeah.
what do you mean, what book? We didn't you say we should write a book? And we were like, yeah, we did kind of talk about that. And then it was, you know what? We're writing this book. Okay, I've got some time. I'm going to send you everything I've written down. I'm like, okay. So, and it was just back and forth, in Google Docs or whatever, just sharing what we thought we needed to put in there. And I think it was cathartic for both of us, though, as well.
Of course. Of course it is, because you're healing through your writing. And I'm so glad earlier Tina mentioned, if you're just tuning in and you didn't hear, Tina Claren mentioned going back to her diary. These are all the ways around me. I've got all of these everywhere in every room, writing, going back, looking at the entries. There's where your healing is. So many people, let me look at some of the comments really quick, because ladies, I want you to hear this. Kathy says, thank you for sharing your stories, being raw and vulnerable to help others. Both of these ladies, by the way, were so scared before they went on. And I said, can you trust me? And they're like, we do trust you. Okay. Halfway into the interview, are you okay?
Sure. Yes.
Yes, because you're healing. You're healing yourself. You're healing others. You wrote the book because it was time. It was time for you to heal. It was time for you to get your story out. It was time to not hide anymore. It's time for the world to come together and say, gosh, that's my story. And for all of you that are willing to say it, say it. If there's been abuse in some way, speak it out. Don't feel like you're alone, because you're not. This whole world has been through some form of it, but it's trying to break that cycle. And if you are, I'm going to look you right in the eye right now. If you are the abuser, you need help. I know you never woke up one day saying, I want to verbally, physically, sexually, mentally abuse anyone. I know that. You have your own insecurities. You have your own demons. You have your own depression. Something happened to you. There's something that's a sickness in you. Don't continue the abuse, because you will affect levels and levels and levels of people from that day forward. We're talking about PTSD, trauma, mental health issues, ADD, ADHD, bipolar. Mental health, again, has come to the forefront. Terry says, thank you for sharing your story. Glad you have found each other, absolutely, to lean on and grow out of the abuse together. And Tony says, good morning. This is awesome what you're doing. There it is. Marilyn had a long comment earlier. Thank you both for sharing your stories. All too familiar from living this through my boss's life story, which a lot of you heard. If you haven't, go back and watch the story with Kathy Kilo Peterson, who is one of our dear sponsors. And she told the story about a narcissistic man that she was married to, and her daughter, was abducted by that man. That's a powerful, powerful story that you've got to go back and listen to. And she still has not seen her in the last several years. Educated from a good family, meet the perfect husband, cook, clean, attentive. But after her child, Lucy, was born, the episodes began. They want to destroy the person and win over them. Didn't provide a good life for Lucy, controlled and isolated, totally opposite of the life with her mom. Mind-bending, and the courts supported him and did not break the cycle despite all the evidence. And she said, just absolutely sickening. And I want to go to that, because one of the things that Tina said in this was that when she was able to get away, when her ex-husband, she said, again, was a real testament to what a person can endure and still walk this earth with sanity. That really just came out with me. When she said, when we divorced, I fought the system for 7 years. In the court system, unfortunately, there is no justice or care. She said the judge told her, unless he put my children in the hospital, he would not help me. So she got out when her first baby was about 6 or 7 months old, but then went back in because she said, I knew he would hurt her. And when they finally divorced, she said, I started back at school because at first it was education and it would keep me busy and out of my head. It was another 7 years of her girls going through hell with him, a horrible time in her life. Not even sure how she got past it. She said, but by the grace of God. And I always say, if someone doesn't have faith, I don't understand how you live through life, because what are you leaning on? But it doesn't end there. Sherry, you meet another person. This is what I'm talking about earlier. Go to that part of the story.
Okay, so then uh, it was a long time, I guess. Let's see, we divorced. I met another person who I thought was a good person, ended up being a narcissist in the end of 2019, beginning of 20. We dated for a while. And then, due to circumstances from my first ex husband, my children were in and out of facilities, um, having a lot of issues, struggling, all that kind of stuff. My oldest was to the point where, after getting out the second time, she was kind of in a place where she was starting to comprehend what was going on. My youngest was not. My youngest has the bipolar, has the multiple split personality, the ADHD, the OCD, the ODD, like the whole 9 yards of anything you can imagine from trauma. I personally, at this point in time, still had never heard the word trauma from years and years since we divorced in 2001 of what trauma was. I had no idea. So I am currently living in down south at this point in time, and I meet this guy, and so everything's going great. Like I said, I have a little bit of freedom. I can do stuff. Like, it was a whole different game changer for me. I was like, oh my gosh, like, these really good guys do exist. And so he lived out here, and so out here in Lincoln County. And so at that point, we were talking about maybe, moving in together. So instead of me driving from the school I lived in or worked at, I'm sorry, down south to go get my child, to come back out here in St. Peter's, to take her to her appointments and stuff like that. So this is 3 times a week. So, that whole entire time of going back and forth and everything. We ended up finding something out here and moving out here. So I was closer to where we could put her back and forth. So needless to say, for her benefit, it didn't work out truly how I was hoping it would in the end, but she did get some help. And then eventually we just ended up getting married. And about 2-3 days later, his true colors came out.
That quickly in the marriage?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Apparently I got a little bit more up on my game and I picked some stuff up faster.
Well,
so
she was-
from there on out, it was probably, I was just like, okay, that was a quick marriage. So I pretty much, I was just like, we need to get a divorce. He therefore said, I don't want a divorce. I said, why don't you want to divorce me? And we thought about that for a couple minutes in silence and came up with, I just don't want to get a divorce. Cool. It made me feel great. I was like, okay. I was like, well, I have no ties to you like I did with my first ex-husband, so we're done. So it was a whole court process that didn't last 7 years because we didn't have kids. And it was fairly quickly because, there was just no point in dragging it out. So he went with me, we divorced, and he moved out. And that was pretty much the end of that.
When do you find out from your teenage daughter, which is out of the time frame in the courts, unfortunately, but when do you find out that she went through the abuse that she went through? Because that's got to be devastating to you.
I've never hit the floor so hard in my life. I'm, as you can tell, I'm a person who can talk, and I can carry on a conversation days and days, and I literally had no words. She was probably about 16. We were living down south. Because of the situation that I was in as a single parent, being in and out of hospitals and appointments, et cetera, et cetera, I missed a lot of work. Where I was living, they didn't want to cooperate with me too much. I then had to move in with a friend. So we were living with her. She got into it one day with my youngest one. I came upstairs to break it up. And she just started yelling at me. You don't know what I went through. You left me, this and that. So I immediately picked up my youngest child, threw her out of the room. I didn't actually throw her. I set her out of the room. And I'm looking at my daughter and I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? And she's just like, he did this to me and he did this to me. And while sis was sitting on the couch and he took me in the room and okay. So, you're kind of at a point in a,
Sherry, what do you do with that? What do you do with that news right there?
actually, I had no words. Like I said, I slowly walked out. I was like, okay, I'm going to give her a minute. And I walked downstairs mainly because I was just in a trance. I was like, I'm walking around like a zombie. I'm like, I don't know. What do you do? What do you say? Like, in a million years, you know what he did to you, but you would never ever think that as a child, we're going to go with 4 years old because that's what she feels she remembers. 4 years old, that consistently happens to you every single time you go, every single time you're with him. That he has that much control and power and that manipulation and just so horrible and disgusting that you could even remotely do the worst of the worst to a child.
How old is she now?
She is now 20.
So I want to find out where they are, right? Because I know that the two of you have now devoted your life to helping children. That's a true passion project of both of you. Again, Tina and Sherry, we're talking about this book that's coming out in the spring, Stronger Together. Really, that's our lives, isn't it? We can't do things alone. We need the love of others around us. And look at this amazing connection that these two women have had. Stronger Together, How Two Moms Walk Through Trauma, PTSD, and Abuse. And we'll have more on this story. If you have any comments, any questions for the ladies, any aha moments, any thank yous to them, because they're helping you through what you're going through. If you're willing, and I want you to, please be real. It helps your own process and all those around you to just utter even a few words. Even if you just want to say thank you, we'll know.
You are truly an incredible human being, and just what you're doing is so inspiring. This was really a cathartic experience for me. So I appreciate you, love you. It's been an honor to not only just be here on set with you, but just to sit in your presence. You inspire everyone around you, from your motivational speaking to your podcast here, to just being the human that you are.
It's just such a joy to be able to see you at this point in your career. Really following your passion, fulfilling your dreams, and encouraging other people to do the same.
I feel that I've been missing out. I believe God places people like you in people's lives for a reason. You have definitely been a God wink for me.
Thank you to each and every one of them. And I'll tell you what, there is a promo that's coming up on Monday that is a continuation of that. We've got several, actually. And I just want to thank Zach Kimball, part of our Real Monica Adams team. He has worked feverishly. He gave 150% to this, and it is mind-blowingly good. I am such a proud mama. That's what I told him. So we will be debuting that on Monday. More and more people that have been really touched by what we've been doing on this show since we had a dream and a vision to start this. A level of positivity. Well, we might talk about some really serious, darker, deeper subjects, but we have to because it's the realization of life. And today is one of those. We've been talking with two moms. Their book, Stronger Together, How Two Moms Walk Through Trauma, PTSD and Abuse. Again, Tina Claren and Sherry Jost. You have now devoted your lives, ladies, to help others, help those children because it's the innocent ones. Tina, what is the most fulfilling aspect of where you're going right now with your life?
I think that knowing that we're not alone, sharing what we have not only helps others, but it is helping us. And you had mentioned faith earlier, and I think it's so true. I mean, faith is part of a foundation for people. And faith doesn't mean religion. Faith is the belief in something um, that will happen. Martin Luther King had a quote that isn't very well known, but it is the quote is, "Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the staircase."
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we're going in the right direction, which is usually up. So, even if you don't know where that staircase leads or where you're going, I think that's what's important about this point and juncture in our lives too, is we've taken that first step, and we do have faith, and we are ready for what comes next.
Tina, so beautifully said. And what a quote. I had not heard that one. It really is a belief that there is a better life. And, we were talking about this with one of my clients yesterday, and I said, actually, it's a new lady that wants to come on with life coaching. She said, Monica, I am so lost. I am hurting. I mean, I've never spoken to this woman in my life, but she was crying on the phone. And I said, I want to be here for you. And if it's me and another therapist, let's do this together. But you don't deserve that pain anymore. Life is so unbelievably short. We say it again. I know it sounds so cliche, but it's true. As the seconds tick away and you're hurting and your kids are hurting, I know you want to do anything to set you on the right path. You have both been so raw, and we are so appreciative of that. Marilyn said, another God wink that you two met and collaborated. Thank you. PTSD is real from a narcissistic relationship. Tina says there's strength and healing in the ability to talk about your personal issues, regardless of what they are. So glad women are starting to find their voices and healing their souls. And do not let anyone squash those, by the way. Donna said so many people go through this. Amen, Donna. That's why I'm doing this particular subject, is that when this was brought to the table, and I do want to thank my sister-in-law, Tina, for introducing me to Sherry and then obviously to Tina, because yes, these are the stories. So when I put this up on the screen and I say right here, topics or guests you would like to see on the show, feel free to comment or email me, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com, because I want you to see that there's hope, that you can break away from the narcissism. You can break away from the control. You don't ever one more second need to be abused. We've told the stories in the past of Tina Turner having less than $1 on her and breaking away and showing up at a hotel bloody. And that person, which I believe was an angel put into her position at that very moment, allowed her to come into that hotel with no money because he could see the scars and the blood and the pain in her eyes to help her. That person was able to put her on the course that she belonged on. And we know about that story because she's a celebrity, but let's stop putting celebrities on this pedestal. Let's connect with real human beings that are in your own path, and somehow let this be talked about, because this isn't just something you automatically say, but if you pay attention, if you listen enough, you're going to see the hurt that was there. And I say was because I hope we are able to get you past it. Barb said, thank you, ladies, for sharing your stories. I hope this episode and your sharing will help others find the courage to get the help they need. And how does that happen? I need you to share this. I need you to make sure that people follow and like and realize that, yeah, we might laugh together on the show. We might cry together on the show. We never apologize for an emotion because it's real life. And then you hear the stories of hope. And if we can save even one person today, that they can walk away from the pain, the abuse, whatever level it is, we've done our job. That's what this show is all about. Marilyn said, wow, so brave, so resilient, ladies. Prayers for you both and your family. We hope you all can heal move forward and attempt to leave it behind. I'd love young children to understand toxic relationships, need more open discussions. Right. Vicky says, thank you. Too many women experience this and just the dating experiences. And lastly, community is so important. So many people isolate themselves when they feel others may not understand. You are not alone. Any last comments, Sherry and Tina, before we do have to wrap up, that you want to get across to anybody that's going through this exact same thing? Tina, I'll let you start.
I think the important piece of this that started with our book too is not only sharing our own stories, but that we're sharing the resources that we found. That's part of the walk through all of this, is that you don't know what resources out there. When you don't know what you don't know, it's hard to find a place to start. And one of our goals with this book was to kind of be that place to start. It's, yes, we all have stories. Yes, we understand that we have gone through things. And so by being together, we're stronger together. And here's some resources that we have found for all these different situations that we've been in, or mental health concerns that we've been dealing with for the last 30 years, that kind of thing. So that, and that's, again, one of the where the idea of the book came from, is because we didn't want there to be people like us 30 years from now that are just figuring it out. They've got more at their fingertips than we did.
Absolutely. And Sherry?
100% with Tina. When I started going through this journey 30 years ago, I also was in a place where I was alone. I felt alone. I had no idea there was resources. I went to, took the girls to the library all the time because it was free. There were no resources there. I had nobody to reach out to. I went to doctors, therapists. Nobody guided me in the right direction. Nobody gave me resources. And if they did, it was just, go to your local, clinic, or go to your local, doctor's office and get this information, or whatever, hospitals. And so I think it is so important that people understand that there are resources out there. And there are particular resources for anything that anybody needs. It's just finding them. It's maybe finding community, finding people, reaching out. You don't have to be completely raw with your story. You don't have to tell us all the details. I mean, you're only going to tell us what you want to tell us, but eventually, the more you know, the more knowledge you have, the more resources that are available, it's going to be easier to just sit down and take a breath and know that your story counts too, and how vital it is. And that we're doing this not only for all of us, but our kids, our futures. And these kids need to know that what's going on right now is not okay, and that they should never have to be in that situation. And that's a lot of what our book is about also. And, I'm finding out slowly. I mean, I'm 48 and I'm still finding out things daily, and finding out that, hey, you know what, if I look back on my life, that one incident, that wasn't okay.
Yeah.
You think of the multitude of the big incidences that happened with you, but when you think back and you just have flashbacks, we all do. And that's okay. It's still part of the healing process. But if you think back to those little incidences, those were the red flags, or those were the little things that weren't okay. But at the time, you're so deep down, you're so stuck, you're so scared, you don't think there's a way out. And for 7 years, I walked and I prayed, and that is literally what my life was like. And I honestly didn't know if I was going to make it. So the resources are super important. I am a huge advocate. I help a lot of family and friends now with situations such as this, pointing them in the right direction, giving them numbers, giving them places that they can find more resources. I will even do research for you. I don't want anybody to ever have to go through, any child to ever have to go through what my children went through, what Tina and I experienced. Like, there is no need, there's no reason for any of that to have to happen. So we are here to do our best to just help you. And it comes down to, you're right, Monica, if we save one life,
yes,
everything was worth it. One life. I actually want to get to the point where we want to get to the point where we're maybe going to a shelter and, sharing the book and talking to people. And I mean, I was at the point where I was so scared at one point I wanted to go underground with my kids. So I know that fear and I know it's scary. And if I can help you while you are someplace safe, or we can give you resources, like that's what our end goal is.
Absolutely. And I do want to give this because help is available. I want you to speak with someone today. When this show wraps up, you hear this. If you're crying at home right now and you weren't able to say anything, it's okay. But at least this affected you. There is a national domestic violence hotline. There are so many levels of different facilities and treatment centers and again, places that you can go to get away from this. But let me just give you this. It's 800-799-7233. That's a national domestic violence hotline. But there are so many that are there for women, for children. I don't want you to stay in it one more day. And if you want to reach out to me, you want to say, Monica, this show affected me. This is what I was able to do today because these women opened up and were so raw for me. And they made me realize I am in it. Maybe as Tina and Sherry have said, maybe it's been there. You're so deep into it that you haven't realized, or you have, but you've tried to say, can't be. It's not really this. Am I really living this life? You are, but you don't have to one more day. Kathy Holden Reed just said, thank you for bringing light to dark situations. Yeah. Community, so very important. Once again, the book is coming out in the April-May time period. It is called Stronger Together, How Two Moms Walk Through Trauma, PTSD, and Abuse. And before I let these two ladies go, I just want to leave you with these words that Sherry provided to me. She said, I am now in my PhD and my dissertations are all on mental health. I owe everything to God, my family, and my friends who stuck with me because it wasn't easy. I will never have certain relationships with the girls I always hoped for due to situations in the past. But every day I thank God they are alive. I'm going to say this. Believe, Sherry. There's hopefully still a lot of life left for all of you. Believe you will, but there's still a lot of healing that has to take place. I hope that for you. I pray that for you. I send all my healing energy to you. You are both beautiful souls, and I cannot thank you enough for sharing your stories, for writing this book, and being there to be an advocate for other women and children and to pay it forward. Thank you both so very much.
Thank you, Monica, so much.
God bless you both. When we return, I'm going to do the wrap up of the show, and we're going to actually talk about how we can carve out your future. These are some of the things maybe we talk about next Wednesday. We'll let you know what that is when we return. Envita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Envita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Envita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Envita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online envitahealthandwellness.com. Well, welcome back. Wow, what a powerful show, right? It's those type of situations, those type of topics that we've got to talk about, because if we didn't have a show like this and everybody's just walking around in silence, they're acting like it's not happening. They act like it's going to be okay. And no, you need the help. And so once again, if you didn't get that hotline, it's 800-799-7233. What did that mean to you, everybody, before we wrap up? And I do want to say that there's a night coming up. If you're new to the show and you haven't heard about this, it's called Cultivating a Vision for 2024, Part 2. It was extremely powerful when we held Part 1 last month. And I've had a handful of you reach out and say, I wasn't able to be there, or I was there and I didn't take very good notes. If you would like that session, you can reach out to me. It's only $10 for that session. And then you want to be at Part 2. Trust me, I've had a lot of people who were there that if they want to drop comments, they can tell you what it meant to them, the aha moment for them. And I mentioned, because I have such a passion for children, if you are 18 and under, if you know anybody that's 18 and under, they are absolutely free. I want them to be there because I want to affect them much earlier. Whatever they've gone through, whatever level, we carve out their future, even if they've had a good life. but we never know what's going to happen, what situations they're going to go into. We want them to have mental clarity, heart coherence, learn how to find clarity, breath work, meditation, leaving the past where it belongs, but healing through it, sitting into it for a little bit. And then we go into carving out what you really should be doing in your life, which is this, knowing your value. And I have had a lot of you reach out and say, I want those journals. Michelle had a great idea for Valentine's. If a lot of you want them, we're going to look into them and I'll purchase them and we'll put them up on our website. Red ones, pink ones around Valentine's. Would you like those? There's other colors. I, of course, write in this one because it's Monica Blue. I like blue. I'm wearing Monica Blue. This is a little more navy, but know your value. And today, my word is journey. If you are new to the show, this is what I'm going to leave you with. Have your first intentional word, whatever you want for your life or your kids' life or your whole family or those that you love. What's your intention for today? Let's start with it and then find some gratitude this evening. But do what Tina was saying. Have a diary, have a journal, write in it. Look where your walk has been from and where you're going. So again, I'd love to see you next Wednesday, January 24th at the Cultivating a Vision. And all you have to do is go to the website, TheRealMonicaAdams.com, click on events. You do not want to miss this. I'm telling you, if you're not there, you're going to be missing out because really everyone from that night was blown away. They all asked for session 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is session 2 for them. All of them are returning. And then some. So we had about 21, I think, that night. I've already got 20 signed up, and we've got a handful of days before we have it, of course, next Wednesday. Marilyn, do you have purple journal? Well, we can get a purple journal if you would like to purchase one. I think we can do that for you. Diane, blessings to these two courageous women, right? Blessings to you, Monica, for helping them tell their stories to help others. Hey, I feel blessed that I have a platform where people can do just that. Sherry, you and Tina are amazing role models for your kids. Absolutely. Yeah, and you can continue to post comments, even if you are just popping on and we're wrapping up the show, because these ladies can go to the page. They can share it with all the people that follow them, love them, support them, and they can answer your comments as well. All right. We had a lot of things that we talked about in the beginning. Again, the Working Women Survival Show is coming up in February. This time it's in St. Charles. If you missed it in the beginning, February 16th through the 18th. And tickets are on sale right now. 37 years of this. Amazing. And who is that featured celebrity? None other than Nellie Olson. That's the character's name. Allison Arngrim is the actress, and she will be on with us. Do you remember Little House on the Prairie and the little bully? That was her. We'll talk with her coming up on February 2nd. We talked about, I am so excited for this, the Ruby Lee concert, July 4th at Defiance Ridge, and tickets are on sale for $40 until they sell out. If they haven't sold out the day of the show, they will go up to $50. I am bringing her on stage, and I am so thrilled to do so. The woman is amazing, and as I said before, it is the 4th of July, so stick around. There will be fireworks. It's going to be a fun show. I would love for you to be there with us. Let's just enjoy it. And I mentioned yesterday the breaking news that Wet Your Whistle, got to get my whistle ready. Wet Your Whistle is back. And thank you to Chuck Gillantine because he is our new sponsor. Every Wednesday at 4 p.m., we'll be joining each other. And we're going to do the first one live at Defiance Ridge in Augusta at 4 p.m. Be there. Mark it on your calendar. Join us. We're going to talk about Missouri wine. We're going to talk about his farmhouse dinners. He's going to educate us on the blending he was doing yesterday with his Chamberson and Norton. He also, though, has the grapes that they have here in Missouri, and they plant them with the Wagner family, which is behind Camus Vineyards in Napa. And then he has this incredible blend from Napa and Missouri. So he's got many, many levels of whites and reds there. He's going to educate us. But as you know, if you've watched Wet Your Whistle in the past, it's a lot of fun. And I love the fact that so many of you said, yay, it's back. I missed it. I know I missed it too, but now we got a sponsor for it. Marilyn, yes, for my sister-in-law. You need a purple one by February 15th. Okay. All right. Reach out to me. We'll get that taken care of. All right, everybody. I want you to get on and enjoy your day. It's been a great one. Did you reschedule bike stuff? I don't know how she's doing, but thank you for asking. Jody Devonshire, we're going to do that woman-to-woman talk because I know she's going to heal, and we will absolutely put that back on the schedule. February 1st, by the way, is our very first positive talk time. That is the kickoff at Yuppie Puppy Pet Spa in Cottleville. I cannot wait for that. That will be every other Thursday through the rest of the year. We're going to talk about positivity. We're going to talk about some fun things about your dogs, and you're going to love the very first story that I kick it off with. Trust me, you don't want to miss that. And then we do our mobile Monica versions on February 8th and February 22nd. We'll be at Espresso Yourself Coffee Shop. If you haven't been there, it is in the city just off of Devonshire. It is a wonderful coffee house. If you don't like coffee like me, you can do tea there. They've got some great food. In fact, right next door is Sister's Sandwich Shop, and we'll be returning there on February 22nd. I'd love to see you at those mobile Monicas. Do you have a business, a restaurant, a place that you would like for us to come to? Well, reach out to me. I'll put my email up for you one more time, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. And I thank each and every one of you for showing up every day, because if it wasn't for you joining the show, then we wouldn't be able to be here. That's the thing, plain and simple. You've got to be here. You've got to receive the message. You share, like, and follow on the Facebook and YouTube page, and you let us know if you think someone else has the same mission that we have. Reach out to me and let me know, and we'll take it from there. All right, everybody, you know what I say. Go out, go attack this world. Remember your value. Be anything that you ever have wanted to be. But before you're anything, be kind. God bless you.